In 2005, I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, and I used to go hang out at this local retro game store called the Famicom Kids Shop. It's just off of Kokusai Street in Naha City. I didn't really know the address though, but right near there was an old ruined temple called Sogenji, and it's a gorgeous place. If you're ever in Okinawa, you need to check out the ruins of Sogenji. Anyway, it's a day like this, nice and overcast, Saturday evening. I'm going to go visit my friends at the store, hail a cab on base, tell them to take me to Sogenji Temple. I get to Sogenji, pay the cab driver, get out of the cab, he drives off, and I turn to start walking towards the store, and here's this woman in this traditional Japanese garb, but something's off. She's white, like pale white. She looks ill, and she's standing out here in the rain. So I ask her if she's okay, and she tells me no, she's sick, and I ask what she was doing out there, and she says she's waiting for a ride home, and I'm thinking, I just got out of a cab. She didn't hail the cab. The cab driver didn't even acknowledge her standing on the side of the road. He just drove off. That's odd. In fact, I don't even remember seeing her as the cab drove off. I ask her if she wants me to wait with her until a ride shows up, and she says no, she's fine. So I go down to the store, which is about a half a block up the street on the other side of the road. So we're there hanging out. We're all playing old video games on this old CRT TV that the owners would bring out. But I keep looking out the window. I'm going to this window and looking and peering down the road, but because of the way the building's sort of set, you couldn't see anything. And finally, one of my friends says, "What are you doing?" And I says, "I'm trying to see if this woman's okay." And he says, "What woman?" And I tell him the story. And the whole room gets completely silent. And one of the guys goes, "What's the date?" And the first guy responds, "It's October 29th." And they all just kind of look at each other, and I says, "What's up with October 29th?" And they're like, "Yeah, you don't need to worry about it." Never got an answer from him, but that always just stuck with me. So now it's 2014, I believe it was, when I picked up the book Okinawa Hauntings by Ron Dutcher. By the way, if you're interested in the paranormal and want to hear more accounts in Okinawa, this is the book to get. I'm reading this book, and I come across a story that takes place outside Sogenji Temple in Naha. It was a sort of vanishing hitchhiker story, but had been going on since like the late 1800s, early 1900s, about this woman who waits for a rickshaw, and if one picks her up, she'll get in it, and it would take her to her house, and she'd forget a comb in the chair or on the rickshaw or whatever, and then the rickshaw owner would come back the next day, and her husband would be like, "No, she died years ago." Your typical stuff, sort of like Resurrection Mary, with one little difference. The address of the house was known. It was destroyed in World War II, but it was known. It did exist. The husband's name was also in the book, if I recall. He existed. We know who this is. This isn't like Resurrection Mary, where there's multiple people they think could be Mary. They know who this woman was. And she only appears on October 29th. I mean, upon reading this in this book, it really freaked me out. It all came together almost a decade later. And it just still really gets to me, because it could have been somebody pulling a prank on me, but I might have had a conversation with the ghost. So me and Thor are actually in a part of the forest we've never been in before, and we're trying to be a little bit on the quiet side because it's getting later in the day than we should be out here. Because, full disclosure, we're actually in the area of the state park where they don't want pets. There's actually no pet signs everywhere. I'm not the only person who brings one here, but usually early in the morning it's not too big of a deal, but as it gets going and there's more people around, the rangers might come walking by. But I figure we're in the middle of the forest. This place is just gorgeous, never been here before. What better place to tell my next ghost story? Now, I've told this one on the channel before, but I didn't really do it in my style. I tried to emulate some of these other paranormal YouTube people's styles, and it's my own story. It's not me. That's not how I tell things. So I figured this Halloween I'd give you not one, but two stories, but the one is this retelling. So this one happened in 2008. It would have been May of 2008, maybe early June, right after I got out of the military. My parents were in Poland at the time, so I was kicking it at their place. Again, just got out of the military, and had my nephew with me. I asked my sister if he could come hang out with me all week, because their neighborhood, it was a nicer subdivision, but there's no street lights, and that just made it creepy. And of course, me and my nephew always being into the paranormal and stuff, so we'd be staying up all night watching DVDs of unsolved mysteries and ghost stories with Patrick McNee and all that stuff, freaking ourselves out nice. Anyway, we went down to Whitnall Park in Greenfield, which is right near the Botanical Gardens, and there's this gorgeous small waterfall. I'd hoped to go get footage of that, but I wasn't able to make the drive right now. Should have done that when I was in Milwaukee a few weeks ago filming the Master of Darkness video. Didn't really occur to me until after I went home to do that. And you love it out here, though, don't you? Yeah, this uncharted territory for us, huh? He loves it. Anyway, so we decided to go to Whitnall Park because there's supposedly a bunch of different, like, Wiccan and covens and stuff that do stuff down there. There's been talk of Satanists doing things. I take that with a grain of salt. That's why I did the air quotes, even though they're annoying and make you look stupid. It's kind of how I always viewed it. You know, yeah, okay, Satanists, like, sacrificing and stuff. But there's all sorts of spooky manner of stuff down there. But one thing in particular is this spirit we've heard about called the White Lady. Supposedly her baby drowned near the waterfall, so she shows up around 1 o'clock in the morning and sits by the waterfall and weeps for her baby. So we went and checked this area out during the day because it's a park, there's no lights or anything, and we're getting EVPs. We took the recorder man, if he's this guy trying to get EVPs, he says, go ahead. So he's doing them, and we're getting nothing, but at one point he gets like frustrated that he's not getting anything, because you got to remember, he's like 9 at this point. And, well, this 2008? No, he would have been like 12. Yeah, so he would have been like 12, 13, but he's getting frustrated. Anyway, he starts screaming things like, oh, you won't reveal yourself just because you're afraid, because we know you murdered your baby. Everybody else thinks you just drowned, but you murdered it. And I know this. I'm like, dude, don't antagonize the spirits like that. And he's like, nothing's going to happen. It's the afternoon. We go home. We're checking the recordings. And after he says that, you hear this noise. It was like this whooshing sound, but it wasn't there when we were there, but it was just like this whoosh. And as I say that, this leaf fell out of the tree over here and scared the crap out of me. But yeah, so that was a little spooky. Anyway, we're up one night and it says, hey, it's about 11 o'clock. You want to go to Whitnall Park? And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, we'll stay around from, like, take us about 40 minutes to get there. In half an hour, 40 minutes, we'll stay there till about 1:30, 2 o'clock, see if anything happens. He's like, yeah, let's do it. And the park's closed at like 10. So we made sure we're sitting there with like a map and everything in case we got stopped by the police. Didn't happen. But the first night we went, nothing happened. We go the second night, and there's another car there with these 2 young ladies in it, and we start talking to them, and they're like, yeah, we're here to see the ghost. We're like, so are we. You know, we came last night, nothing happened, but you don't expect it to happen every night. This guy's not afraid of the ghost story. So we're sitting there from about 11 till about 12, just a little after midnight. We're up in the parking lot, and all of a sudden, I says, hey, man, look at that over there. And you could see, like, this light moving through the forest. And it's hard. It didn't look like a person, but it was sort of that humanoid shape, but it was just glowing like white light. And we're like, holy crap, you know, and we look over in the car next to us, and the 2 girls next to us are looking at it, and it walks, and it's walking, and it seems like it kind of turns, like it's facing where the waterfall would be. The 2 other girls they're kind of freaking out. They book it out of there. Me and my nephew were sitting there in the car, and I was like, hey, man, it's like your first time seeing something like this. You know, I've dealt with some stuff like this before, but never quite on this level. It's like, you want to get out of the car and go check it out? He goes, what? I'm like, well, we can't walk all the way down there. I mean, it's dangerous. There's no lights. You're going down this hill, and there's this lake, and then the waterfall. I was like, we can go maybe halfway down the hill. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. We open up the car doors. We each get like 1 foot out of the car doors, and this thing, it looks like it kind of spins around and looks at us, and we hear this like ungodly, blood-curdling scream, right? Come on. But it doesn't come from her. It's like coming from all 4 directions. And I'm looking around, and the trees aren't moving, just like they're not right now. And the blades of glass aren't moving. And I look at my nephew, and I says, you want to go? And he goes, uh-huh. And he just jumps back in the car and slams the car door, so I get in and we go with him. The thing is, when you hear stories of this, a lot of people say you feel like if they've seen the spirit, they say they feels like there's a pressure pushing them back. Or the few people I've talked to have been like, oh yeah, I saw it. And I was like, what was your experience like? They go, I don't want to talk about it. And that was one of the freakier ones I've dealt with. I mean, it's just kind of screaming at us, which would be a sense of a pressure pushing you away from it. So, the White Lady of Whitnall Park. That's probably one of my favorites. One of the most intense experiences I've ever had. But we're not done. What I didn't tell you in the others video, which I intend to delete because why have this up here twice, is that my nephew told me he saw her a second time. He went down there with his father and his stepmother. I don't know if this was at night or not. He said it was fairly late in the day, so it might have been. But he says they were walking out there, and they came across a woman dressed in a white gown, sitting by the waterfall, and she stopped and talked to him for a bit, and she really seemed interested in my nephew. And then they kind of walked off down into the woods a little bit, and then came back, and she was just gone. And he says it was like it was like she was never there, but she was there in this white gown. He says she was barefoot, didn't have shoes with her, had no idea how she could have gotten out of there fast, because they had only walked away for like 2-3 minutes and came back. So not sure how reputable that story is, if maybe he's just messing with me, or if it was somebody just messing with him, or maybe he actually went back and did see the white lady a second time. Me and him did go back a few times that summer and didn't see anything again, but hey, he might have seen her twice. He might have even talked to her, just like I talked to that one in Okinawa.